The Omni King, also known as Zeno, is the strongest and most powerful character that Toriyama ever introduced, and right along his side, his Darth Vader to his Palpatine, what many consider the second strongest, is the Daishinkan, aka the Grand Priest. But how powerful are they really? We don't have all the information just yet, but what we do know for certain based on what was said in Dragon Ball Super is that their power is absolutely frightening. And that goes for both of them, the Omni King and the Grand Priest. And thus I decided to consolidate both of them for this special edition of the strongest in Dragon Ball. You probably heard about it by now, but if you haven't, it's not too late to try Raid Shadow Legends. Available right now for your mobile device, Apple and Android. It is a mega hit, a phenomenon, a blockbuster game that is currently maintaining an almost perfect score in the App Store and over 330,000 reviews. This thing is growing really fast, and check out this cool roadmap that they published. They actually have huge plans for updates in this game for over 6 months, so there will always be something to do in Raid Shadow Legends. New factions, a tag team arena feature, and even a new clan boss, so you'll be able to fight with your clan mates as well. And that's really what the game is about, is gathering together forces to fight the enemy. The link is in the description, check it out. Oh, and don't forget, not only is it free, but if you're new, you get 50,000 silver and a free epic champion as part of the new player program by clicking the link down below. So this is going to be a special quick edition of The Strongest in Dragon Ball about the Grand Priest and Zeno. And the reason why this is not going to be like a full out Grand Priest and Zeno breakdown is because as of right now, we do not have full data on what the limitations and the real power is of Zeno and the Grand Priest. There's a lot of mysteries behind these two characters. There's a lot of things that we don't know. And as a result of that, I have suspicions that in the future of Dragon Ball Super and the whole Dragon Ball universe, we're going to at some point probably see Grand Priest fight, maybe, and we may get a better idea of what the cosmic scale of these characters are. But I want to gather together some of the information that we have in the series already and do sort of like a Grand Priest and Zeno mini prelude before we get more information in the future. And when we do, I will come back and do a full out breakdown analysis of the strongest in Dragon Ball's powers and feats when it comes to Zeno and the Grand Priest and everything that we know when we see more of them. But what do we know so far? Well, we know quite a few things, but not enough to really gauge where they stand as far as comparing them to other cosmic deities from other fictional stories like Marvel, DC, and other comic universes. That's a very difficult thing to do, but I've done videos talking about this in the past. Now, what do we know within the scope of Dragon Ball? Well, we know that the Grand Priest is the father of the angels, and we've done videos already on Whis, and in that video I discussed Whis' powers being relative to the other angels, so we know that he is the father of the other angels that represent the 12 universes. We don't know what happened to the other 4 universes, and if they had angels, that's another big mystery that Dragon Ball Super never answered. But what we know in the present day, and depending on which version you want to consider more reliable or which one you want to listen to, he's either the most powerful or one of the 5 most powerful beings as far as fighters go in combat in all of Dragon Ball Super, in the multiverse. Now, there's a reason as to why I specifically said there combat, because when you look at somebody like Grand Zeno, the Omni King, you realize that there's a very big difference between being powerful and being good at fighting. We know that because in Dragon Ball we have characters like Broly and even ones like Frieza who are very powerful beings, innately powerful. They have all this, I guess you can say, potential, but they don't have the fighting experience or the training that guys like Goku and Vegeta have had for so many years. Broly is just now learning about his power in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. Frieza really became focused during Resurrection F because of his incredible urge for revenge. But prior to this, Frieza never even trained. So he's just naturally strong. But as far as being a really good, effective student of the martial arts, that's not what they are. Now, when it comes to Zeno, there are clear clues here that this Zeno is essentially a child. One thing I want to state is that as of right now, Zeno is at the very top of Toriyama's God hierarchy. There is nobody above Zeno except for Toriyama himself, but he's not actually a character within Dragon Ball unless you count, of course, Toribot, which is the robot version of Toriyama that appears once in a while in his manga to narrate things. But that's more like him talking to the audience as far as that, as opposed to him being part of the actual story. So Zeno's at the top, but it's been presumed by many, including myself, that he's really not at the top. I do believe that at some point in the future, we are going to get a higher god above Zeno. That's just my speculation. And the reason why I think that's because we haven't seen Zeno do much, but what he has done has been very, very impressive. We saw Zeno in the Future Trunks arc destroy the entire multiverse of the future, leaving it in a void of nothingness. This was confirmed by a magazine. A lot of folks were debating whether or not it was just Universe 7, but it was definitively said in Jump magazine by Dragon Ball Super staffers that Zeno did indeed destroy the entire future timeline multiverse. He left it in a void. It's still there, but he destroyed the sanctity, the matter that was the multiverse. That is the biggest feat we've ever seen in Dragon Ball. Obviously, the fact that Zeno can just lift his finger and wipe out a universe, no matter how big and no matter how far away it is from him, is one of the scariest things in all of Dragon Ball. It's like the Hakai technique times infinity, right? We have seen the biggest feat at the end of the Trunks arc, which was that. Now, beyond the Omni King having the ability to destroy whatever he wants at will, we haven't seen him do anything else in this series. He doesn't really create planets. He doesn't really manipulate matter in the same way that the angels do, although it's presumed that he can. He's not really a creator. He comes off like just a child, representative of what Toriyama maybe thought the audience was like, who enjoys being entertained, specifically by the things that we saw in Tournament of Power and by having friends. That's what Zeno essentially is, just a big baby. But does Zeno have a father? Does he have somebody who created him? And that's the big sort of mystery that Dragon Ball Super kind of left us with, which may reveal an even higher god at some point in the future. But beyond that, more clues that we get is during the Tournament of Power, there are a couple of times when Zeno has trouble seeing the fight because of the speed. Now, obviously, there are characters who are incredibly fast, like Jiren, Ultra Instinct, Goku, etc., in that tournament, that regular mortals have trouble seeing. But why would this incredibly powerful god have problems seeing the fight? You would think that he would. Well, because he's not a fighter. He's very strong. He has raw power that no other being has ever had, that we've ever seen in this series. But he's not a fighter. His eyes are not trained to see it. If you go back to Dragon Ball Z, remember when they were fighting the Saibai-men and Gohan was watching the fight and Piccolo had to sort of train him and train his eyes to focus and really see what's going on using ki and how to sense energy. Zeno doesn't even know how to do any of that stuff because even though he's strong, he's not a fighter, which means that in combat, he could just delete you. But in an actual fight where you're throwing hands without having to kill the other person, he might not win the fight. He might not win if it's just a regular fight where you're holding back because all he knows how to do is kill. So that's interesting to me. But that also makes you wonder, what's going to happen if someday Zeno wants to fight, if he actually trains to fight? Nobody could screw with him because if he's already this strong, imagine if he trained. He might even get stronger. Who knows how much stronger he can get? Nobody has any clue. Nobody has any answer. But we do know that Zeno's power and the Grand Priest's power is very much unquantifiable. We don't know how strong the Grand Priest is. We've seen him do things like traverse the different universes and actually bring large groups with him through the multiverse without the need for a cube. We've seen things like that he can do that are definitely cosmic scale. We assume, based on just typical power scaling, you don't have to overthink this, that he is multi-universal levels of power. I mean, he can probably destroy multiple universes easily. If Vegito and Gogeta and these characters have been scaled to at least be universal, lowballing, I can't see how the Grand Priest isn't multi-universal. At the very least. Again, we're just kind of spitballing here. None of this is actually a, legit thing that was stated in the series, just assumed based on his power. And of course, we've seen Zeno wipe out multiple universes. Other than that, there's not much left as far as feats go until we actually see what they can do within the confines of the series, if we ever do. But I think at the very least, we are going to see the Grand Priest do something. I mean, that's my prediction. I think we're going to see him do something, but we haven't even seen Whis go seriously. We have not seen Beerus, Whis, the Grand Priest, or Zeno at their full power. So when you make one of these videos, we can only base it on the actual factual data that we've been given and what we've been shown in the series, and that's what we've been shown. Very impressive, but I'm going to eventually have to go back and revisit this topic when we have more information, or when we at least find out more about Zeno and the Grand Priest's origins, which as of the creation of this video are still very much shrouded in mystery. So thank you so much for watching. That's what I have for you as far as the Grand Priest and Zeno. I made the video because I knew people wanted to know what they can find out about these characters, and that's what we know based on the series, and that we see just how strong they are. Maybe we at least get some kind of statement from Toriyama, because right now they are at the tippy top of the Dragon Ball multiverse, and nobody has come close. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time.